Okay, we're recording.
Okay, this is a home interview, Buffalo, New York, 21st of February 2006, approximately 2:30 p.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and White Gressert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Shirley Donna DeVoe. Place of birth was Albany, New York, and the date of birth is 24 September 1918.
Okay. What was your educational background prior to entering military service?
I had an RN from Memorial Hospital School of Nursing and a BS degree in nursing from the University at Buffalo.
Okay. Do you remember where you were, how you heard, and your reaction about Pearl Harbor?
Yes, I was sitting in my living room writing Christmas cards.
Mm-hmm. How did you hear it? On the radio or?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember having a reaction to this?
Not particularly, no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think more actually what my reaction was that the young man I was engaged to, when he was called into service and was killed in a plane crash.
Mm-hmm.
And that made it more my war than maybe I was really conscious of before that date.
Okay, he was in the Air Force
Yes,
prior to the beginning?
Yeah. He was in the, let's see, he graduated in 41 from college, and he was in that fall.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just before Pearl Harbor.
Why did you make a decision to join the Army Nurses Corps?
That was it.
That was it because of him?
He was killed.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
That made it very personal then.
Okay.
And so as soon as I completed my obligations for at my job, I went on active duty.
Mm-hmm. Where did you go for any additional training at all when you went into the Army?
No, at that time they didn't have any thing for nurses. I went directly in. Now, a few months after I was on active duty, then they decided that we should have basic training. So the doctor who was in charge of my base asked if he would get the same people back if he sent them. And they said no, you couldn't count on that. So never mind, I'll do it here. So we had our basic training run in our post, and we had probably a lot of extra things within that, you know.
How was the basic training? Do you think it was adequate?
For me, yes, because I didn't have to shoot guns and things like that.
So there was a lot of marching and drilling.
And we went on, we went to camouflage school and things of that sort.
Did you do any overnight camping or anything?
No, we didn't have that.
Okay.
So, but that was all right.
No, I forgot to ask, when did you go into service?
I went in July of 1943.
Okay. And where was your assignment?
The first assignment was at an airfield, which was then part of the Army. The Air Corps was not a separate entity, and it was stationed just outside of Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay.
I was there for 18 months.
What were some of your duties while you were there?
Well, I had patients,
Mm-hmm.
you know, young men who had been injured or were ill or things of that nature. And we did one time have a bad accident where a whole truckload of young men, you know, were in it. Mm-hmm. And we had something like 28 people came in. Boom, boom, boom. And this was just a small hospital. And but they did a very good job with getting everything lined up and follow through. And by the time the last patient was admitted, they were ready there to check him over and line him up. And the first patients had already been to x-ray and lab work and things of that sort.
Now, this was a general hospital?
No, it's
Or-
station hospital.
A station, okay.
150 beds.
Now, what do you mean by a station hospital?
Well, a little hospital for like a small air station. And general hospitals were mainly in overseas, places
okay.
like that.
How many did you have on your staff?
We had like 13 nurses. I don't know how many doctors I had. And I was there, as I said, for 18 months. And then I was transferred to Camp Roberts in California, to their station hospital, which was considerably bigger.
Now, were your duties there very similar?
Yes, very similar. And I was there for 9 months, and then I was shipped over to the Philippines.
Were you promoted to a first lieutenant at that
First
point?
lieutenant when I got to California.
Okay.
Right. And then, as I said, I went to the Philippines. Well, by the time we got really settled down in the Philippines, the war was over. So we had the nice opportunity of moving from base to base and helping close down hospitals and sending our boys home.
Did you run into a lot of patients that had been in captivity?
No, I never had any that I remember.
Okay.
And I wasn't over there too long, for just about 6 months at the end.
Now, did you have any problems with like malaria or any kind of tropical diseases? Or
No, I was fortunate, I guess. I had patients who had some of those problems, but I was lucky enough to escape everything.
Now, how did you treat them? What kind of treatments did they receive?
Oh dear. You're asking me to go back
Okay.
60 years or more, and I don't remember. Yeah, the matter of fact, some of them, had that problem. And I'm not very interesting, I know.
No. Were any of the patients in any of the hospitals from battlefield wounds at all?
Oh, yes. Yes, some of them had, battlefield wounds, and a lot of them were just ill from malaria and, what was it, that fever, some kind of dengue fever.
Dengue fever.
Yeah, and things like that. And so...
What was the equipment like that you had? Was it pretty modern and up to date?
Well, for that time,
Yes,
we
for
didn't
that
do
time.
too bad.
Yes.
We didn't do too bad. We had to, fold our own 4x4 bandages and sterilize them. And things of that nature that took time. And can't think of anything else special to tell you about it.
What were the relations like between the doctors and the nurses?
Fine, professional. We worked together and took care of our people together. And I think we were both of the thing that together we were going to get these boys well and get them home.
Now, did you ever get to see any USO shows?
Yes, I saw one when I was in the Philippines, but I don't remember who was in it. Just one.
Now, how were the conditions in the Philippines as compared to the other hospitals you had been in the States?
Oh, well, in the Philippines, the hospital was a cement flooring, And then they had bamboo sidings that started about 3 feet up and went to about 6 feet up, and a roof. So it was, housekeeping was very interesting. Just pour buckets of water on the floor and swing it out the sides. I think there's some pictures in there of those.
Did you have any problems with critters getting into the hospital, like snakes or lizards or
No,
spiders?
they didn't think. I think they're more afraid of us than we are of them.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that wasn't a problem. In the nurses' quarters, and of course we had spots similar to that. We also had mosquito nets up, So,
Now, what kind of buildings did you live in?
swally huts, what they called them.
Okay. Did you ever have any of the local Philippine people working in the
Yes.
hospital too?
Well, the Philippine people too worked in our nurses' quarters and did our laundry for us and, things like that.
Now, what kind of food was served in these hospitals in the Philippines? Did you have your own kitchens and so on? And your own
I think so.
Mess halls.
mess halls and so on?
Pardon?
Did you have your own mess halls?
Yes. Yes. I kind of forgotten what we had, but apparently it was food from home and it was safe to have,
Did you eat any of the native food at all?
No.
Now, when did you return to the States?
I returned in January of 46.
Now, I see
And
you...
then
Okay, I'm sorry.
I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, until June, and then I came home.
Now, I see you stayed in the reserves until 1978. Why did you decide to stay in
Well,
the reserves?
At the time when I came home, my father was very ill, and that was the reason I got out when I did. Well, when they asked about the reserve program in 48, I think it was, because I was still on inactive duty at that point, and they were going to, close everything off, and they put out a letter or something to us and asked us if, what we would like to do, and if we wished to, we could continue in the reserve program. And I had friends and who had already decided to do this, and one of my friends said that she, I know, first of all, so when I did this, or when I wrote back to them about this, I asked them what I would have to do to become a captain, because at the time I got out, they told me if I would stay 3 more months, I could get my captaincy. So I wrote and I told them what I've been doing educationally and professionally since then, and so I got direct promotion back to captain. And I had a friend, as I said, who was getting in this reserve program, the active reserve, and they were looking for a captain to be chief nurse. And so she talked me into going to a meeting, and that's where I met all these fine people, some of whom I still know. And I joined, and I was chief nurse of that unit until I retired.
Now, where was the unit?
Here in Buffalo.
Okay.
And we'd go up to Fort Drum in up near Watertown. One year we went over to the one in Massachusetts. We went down to New Jersey, and then we went down to General Hospital in Pennsylvania once.
Now, what was the unit that you were in
It
here?
was General Hospital. First it was was a field hospital or something, and then he became a general hospital.
Did you go to any other bases in the United States at all for training?
No, we didn't. It was all done, strictly on active duty.
Uh-huh.
We ran hospitals and took care of the people who were there.
Okay.
So you just general nursing duties throughout these. Now, as chief nurse, what were your duties?
Well, just to see that there was people were scheduled to go on at the right time, for different people, and
How many nurses did you have working under you?
I think about 10.
Now you worked, I see, also at the VA hospital here in Buffalo?
Yeah, and I worked there at the VA hospital for 24 years, and
Were your duties very similar there?
I supervisor. I did some teaching for a while, and then in the last few years I worked out of the chief nurse's office and did work in research and things of that type.
Were you ever able to use the GI Bill at all?
No, I didn't.
You never?
Well, I did go back to school for a while, and then I dropped out, but then later on I got a full tuition scholarship to complete my master's degree.
Was that through University of Buffalo also? Or?
Nope, it was through some special program, and I got money to live on and my tuition paid, and so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing for UB now.
What are you doing for University of Buffalo?
Well, I'm I have three, what do I want to call them? Three things I'm doing. One is I give a prize every graduation in communications. That's at graduation. The other one is for, what do I call it? Oh dear. It's my mother's name and my name, and it is,
School of Nursing?
yeah, it's, but it's for nurses to take special programs.
Okay.
And then the third one is for research.
So you provide
Monies.
money for these things?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they will get more when in for my will.
Okay. Now, how do you think your time in the service, obviously you had so long of a time in there, how do you think it affected your life or changed your life?
I don't know if it's particularly changed it, but it certainly was an important part of my life.
In what ways?
Well, just the time element,
Yes.
And then, as I say, I have friends that I still have today who were in it. Some cases, the men are gone and the women are their wives. I know their wives. And so that makes a difference, too.
Okay, I was going to ask you about this. You sent us this, or we got this. Why did you put that collection together?
Well,
Wayne,
I
focus
did-
on that. It's a collection of poems?
I did this at the time just because it was, interesting for me to do.
Now, when did you do that?
I did the poetry collection when I was on active duty. And some of it I wrote, some friends of mine wrote, some were in like the Army Times and, you know, things of that sort. And I had it in a little notebook, and I had it sitting over there. And one time when my nephew, Gary Stapleton, was here, he found it, and he asked if he could borrow it. And so I said, sure. So this is what he did for me.
Now, what is that on the cover? What's so special about that drawing on the cover?
This was done by a patient.
Could you hold it? If you held it up this way, Wayne could focus on it. What do you know about what time, what year that was done, approximately?
Let's see, that was done down in Tallahassee, Florida, in about 44.
Okay. Now you had some photographs to show us? Or a photograph anyhow to show us?
You want me to hold these up?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. You want to tell us when those were taken?
Let's see. This was taken when I graduated nursing school.
Okay.
And this was taken when I was in the Army out in Camp Roberts, California.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Mike, do you want to hold this up?
Yes. I can hold this up here for you.
Okay.
If you want to describe what we have here.
This is my victory medal. I've got it on the back.
Oh, okay.
And the patches are,
Army Air Force.
Yeah.
There's an Army Air Force patch over
Yeah.
here.
3rd Armed Forces, the Mabry Field Tallahassee, is that
And that's
the one in the middle.
Yes.
And that's the 2nd Service Command. This is Air Force, and first patch, and then the Corps Area Reserve Duty is here. 9th Service Command, the 2nd Corps. 2nd Lieutenant, 1st Lieutenant Captain, Major, and Lieutenant Colonel.
Now, what is this bracelet here?
Well, that's just the identification
Oh, okay.
bracelet. Yeah. These are my dog tags. And this was the unit citation. And that's the ruptured, what they call the
Ruptured duck, yep.
is there. And this is my insignia, the one on my uniform, nurse's uniform.
Okay, great. Got it. Did you want to...
Yeah, we could use some.
Okay, this was one of the camp newspapers.
Can you tell us something about that?
That's a souvenir of the Golden Gator. 29th December 45, and Mr. Civilian. This was, they did on the Brazil, that was the boat I came home on from the Philippines.
How did you go over to the Philippines?
I went over on the Evangeline, a boat
And then you came back on
in Brazil. This was the big boat. The other one was the little one.
Were there any other photographs?
Well, there's so many. There are a lot of really interesting ones.
Maybe a few.
We have this range, so there's some nice.
Yeah, some of the bigger photographs, maybe I can zoom in on.
These are interior. Now, where was this hospital?
That's still Mabry Field, Tallahassee,
In
Florida.
Tallahassee. I'm not. This is the one that had 150 beds, you said? Correct?
Something like that. It was small.
Okay.
That's the whole professional staff.
Maybe
Yeah.
a shot of that.
This is the professional staff of the,
This is the professional staff, and that's the enlisted men.
okay, down in Florida, in Tallahassee.
Right.
Okay, got it.
There's so many photographs.
Okay.
Okay, I guess.
Now, did you get much time off in the Philippines to do any sightseeing or anything like that?
I think it was something like half a day a month.
Uh-huh.
We worked 12-hour duty.
12 hours on, 12 hours off. 7 days a week, basically, right?
Right. When I was down there, Mabry Field, we worked 12-hour shifts, half day a week and 1 day off a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
I don't know if there's anything else there on the table that's of interest to you or not.
Well, the New York State Medal.
Hold that up.
Could you tell us what that is?
Was New York State Medal for Merit. Want me to take it out of the box?
No, that's
that's
okay. I can zoom right in on it. Okay. Talk about it.
Wayne was a very nice young man I met down in
Now, what
Tallahassee,
was his
Florida.
full name?
Wayne Swanberry. He came from Nanticoke, northeastern part of Pennsylvania. And, you know, when you're that far away from home, as I was down in Florida, anybody from a neighboring state is a good friend. And he and one other young man and I seemed to hit it off very well. And we went out a lot together, you know, out to dinner and dancing and things of that sort. Wayne was a very special young man, and we got pretty close, the two of us, and but we decided that when he was going to be going overseas that we wouldn't get anything more than that, but we did agree we would get together after the war was over. And so he did keep in touch all the time that he was overseas, but
Now, was he in Europe?
he went to Europe. He was in one of the flight groups that went out of Great Britain. And in July of 44, yeah, in 43, 44, July of 44, he was lost over France. And subsequently was, you know, recovered, and as Gail said, he's buried over in France. So, since we had promised we would get together after the war, I couldn't go with him, but I did go to see his parents in Nanticoke, and they kept in touch with me as long as they were both alive.
Now, what rank was she?
Well, he was, by the time he was killed, he was a captain.
Now, was he a fighter pilot or?
Fighter pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, He was one of the people that, on the day that we invaded northern France, he was what they called a skip bombing pilot.
Oh, okay.
And he was one of the first ones over. So I turned on the radio when I came over to the quarters for lunch and heard him being interviewed over the radio. And then I subsequently got what they used to call those letters, special letters.
Oh, V-mail?
I guess that's what it was, from him, and his comments were that he got a front seat in the big show. And so my other nephew down in Pennsylvania, he's the brother of the one who did the book for me. He's been very interested, and he's been following up, and he's gotten in touch with quite a few of the men who were with Wayne. And he's coming up this spring, bring me pictures and things of that sort.
Okay, well,
But after those two tragedies, I was happier just being me and on my own.
yes, you had two gentlemen that ended up being killed. Okay, all right,
All right, thank you.
Thank you for adding that story.